Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, I'm going to put together a little odds and ends video for you guys this week and show you some of the new items that have come in, give you some updates on some things going on in the shop. Got another special event coming up that we want to tell you guys about. Some of you guys might want to come out to as well. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So first off, I want to mention that this past weekend, myself along with a bunch of other YouTube creators were all down at the Florida Flywheelers down in Florida, which is a big kind of a tractor show, old antique engine show. They have a huge swap meet going on the whole time, and I got a chance to go down and spend a couple of days at the Florida Flywheelers. It's always a lot of fun. It's become one of these events that I just go to every year. They actually do it 3 times a year, but the February show, the one they just had, is really their biggest show that they do each year. I got a chance to go to their November show back a couple of months ago. That was a lot of fun. Didn't get to go to the one in January, just was too busy with some work stuff and just wasn't able to do that one. But the February show was great, and we got to see a lot of you guys. A lot of our fans came out, and we had a little meet and greet on Saturday, and that's always a lot of fun to get the chance to meet you guys face to face, shake hands with people, and just a chance to chat and get to develop some personal relationships with some of you guys. Always a lot of fun. Did pick up a few items at the Florida Flywheelers event. We're going to show those here in just a little bit, but just wanted to kind of kick off by talking about that event a little bit and what a great time we had. Also dealing with special events. Want to let you guys know about another one that I'm going to be involved in. It's another good opportunity to come. I get a lot of questions from folks that ask about the museum that I volunteer with, the Georgia Museum of Agriculture. I've done a lot of videos out there over the years. I've done a lot of projects related to the museum, and a lot of people say, well, when's a good time to come? When's a good time to come and visit? And each spring, they have what they call their Folklife Festival, which is probably the best day of the year, in my opinion, to come out to the museum because there's just so many things going on. They kind of have all hands on deck. A lot of stuff that, you know, if you come out on some days, may or may not be things going on there, but they really have a lot of things happening on that. That is going to be happening on Saturday, April 2nd this year, which is 2022. If you're watching this video sometime in the future. But usually it's that first Saturday in April is when they typically have the Folklife Festival. Now, the big thing that we do at Folklife Festival it's the only time of the year the museum does this, is they actually fire and run their wood-fired turpentine still, which is a really interesting process in itself. And if you've never seen that process, it's worth coming out just to see that alone. But we will also have our steam-powered sawmill going. In fact, that's kind of where I'm planning on spending the day, is I'm going to be down at the sawmill, probably sawing. A lot of our guys that normally work at the sawmill will be over at the turpentine still, so they got me down there at the sawmill. I'm going to be basically working as a sawyer that day, but it's a good chance to see that. Of course, we'll have our steam locomotive running, and there'll be lots of other things going on in the historic village at the museum. Just things of days gone past, and things that are interesting, and really good day to come out. So if you are interested in the area or want to make a road trip, check out the museum if that's been on your bucket list for a while. If you can swing it, again, Saturday, April 2nd, really good time to come out. And I hope to, again, get to see some of you guys, shake your hands. I'll be pretty busy that day, but hopefully we'll get a chance to visit with some folks and get some one-on-one time there as well. So anyway, a couple of events. Like I said, we do have some items we picked up at the swap meet. I'm going to be showing those here in just a minute. One other thing I want to do before we get into kind of the show and tell part of this thing is, I want to do a shout out to a couple of guys, and I don't normally do these in my videos, but I was really impressed. I got an email from a lady that was telling me about her 2 children, Peyton and Braden Price, who are big fans of the channel. They are, I think that they are twins based on the email that I got, and they're both turning 14 coming up here very, very soon. May have already happened when this comes. She didn't tell me the date, but when she told me about these kids, I really kind of got interested because She told me that they actually have recently purchased a hardened lathe and are restoring that lathe and getting it back going. They're also involved around steam equipment. She told me they're the youngest members of the Tuckahoe Steam Engine Association. And what the one that really got my attention, she said that one of them, when they were in the 4th grade, had to do a book report. Now get this, what did he do his book report on? Welding Essentials was the book that he did a book report on. So I just thought that was neat. It was just really fun to hear about some young people that are watching the channel, get something out of it, and are getting interested in the old school way of doing things and learning these things. And anyway, that really impressed me. So Peyton and Braden, happy birthday. And glad you watched the channel, and hope you keep on for many more years to come. So let's get in here and start looking at some of the stuff that came in. So first item, we're going to go over some of the Florida Flywheeler finds. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, like the first 2 items here actually came from the January show. And I just told you that I wasn't at the January show, but fortunately my good friend Jim Bollinger at Do Right Fabrication YouTube channel, he was at the January show, and he came across some stuff, and he was texting back and forth with me, saying, hey, I found this. Is this something you'd be interested in? And he actually purchased a few items on my behalf. And I want to show you these. So first off, got this box here, and when you open it up, inside we have some lapping plates. These are for lapping parts on. You basically would usually put like a slurry of diamond dust or something on there, and you could rub on here and get something really, really flat. Tom Lipton has done some really good videos on lapping. But what got my interest on this, I've got a couple of lapping plates, but this is actually a set of 3. And you would set these up with 3 different grits, and you could basically go from one to the other very quickly without having to clean everything up and change the grits out from one to the other. So anyway, these are kind of cool. I thought it was neat, so I said I'm going to go ahead and pick these up. I don't know how flat these are. You can tell, like on this one, it's kind of got a shiny area in the middle where something is maybe kind of worn a little bit on it. And these also, you can see some tarnish in there. These may end up going over to the surface grinder and just kind of kissing them all and getting them trued up, make them good and flat again, and maybe even do some lapping on another plate to get these things nice and flat. But be a nice something to have. I don't do a whole lot of lapping, but occasionally I do have the need for it, and it'll be nice to have this set of lapping plates to come out there. So Jim stumbled across that, and like I said, contacted me, and I said, absolutely, I'd love to have that. So he picked it up for me. Next up, this is something I'm really excited about. And another one that Jim Bollinger actually found at the January show at Flywheelers. And he sent me a text message with a picture of it. It says, hey, do you want this? Had the price on it. And I'm like, yes, 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 please get it. And I was blowing his phone up, calling him, make sure you get that for me, because this is something that I've actually seen several of these, and there's a bunch of different versions of this thing rolling around, and different companies made them or what have you. I've always wanted one and just have never been able to find one for sale at a decent price. And Jim stumbled across it for me. What is this? This is a little demonstrator model that was used in teaching about steam engines. And you can see it's kind of set up looking like a steam locomotive. And it has a reversing gear built into it. So on steam engines, normally on like a stationary engine, it was designed just to run in one direction, where the flywheel was turning in one direction or the other. But on an item that's moving like a steam locomotive, a steam traction engine, anything that needs to have a reverse in it, they had a really neat reversing mechanism built into the engine that could allow you to do exactly that. And this one is basically showing how that works. This, I believe, is like a Stevenson gear. And if we turn this around, you can see the linkage back here. There's a lever in here. You push it forward or you pull it back, and when you do, it changes some things going on with the engine. So on the crankshaft, there's 2 eccentrics, or cams, that rotate around. They're 180 degrees apart, and it basically is pivoting either on the top or the bottom of this thing, and depending on how you shift that, it depends on which one of these cams is controlling the valve up front. We'll take a look at it in a minute. So when we got it in the forward mode, You see it's kind of pivoting on this rod. When we pull it back the other direction, we're pivoting on the other rod. And those are 180 degrees apart. Now on the other side over here, you can see how this controls the valve. So the way this is you got your steam engine. This is your cylinder down here. There's your piston going back and forth. Above it is the steam chest. This is where the valve is that lets the steam go in one way or the other. So you got a port here that goes to this side of the piston. You got a port here that goes to this side of the piston. And unlike a combustion engine on a steam engine, it actually pushes the piston in both directions in the cylinder. Let's take a look at how this works. So when the piston comes up here to the top dead center, what's going on is the steam is coming in to the engine through this center port. And you can see the valve comes forward, and when it does, it lets the steam come over here to this side of the piston, and it pushes the piston back. On the back side, you see the port comes out, and it's more or less open, and this is the exhaust side. This lets the steam exhaust out. So it pushes the piston. As that happens, the valve will pull back the other direction. When it does, it comes right there. Notice that now we open up the steam on this side. It pushes the piston forward. The exhaust opens up on this side. But we'll put it at top dead center. When we reverse, look what happens to the valve. It moves the position of the valve. And this thing needs to be adjusted a little bit. It's not set up perfectly, but I think you can see the idea where it's timed. And when you do that, now the steam is pushing in the other direction, and that basically reverses the direction that the engine is moving. So it's a really neat mechanism. There are multiple variations of these valve gears on different locomotives. I believe that this one, I need to do some research, but I believe that this one illustrates a Stevenson valve, which was probably the most common one that was used on most locomotives. But different railroads use different valve arrangements. There were literally tons of them out there. They all basically did the same or very similar thing. But anyway, really cool item. This is just, like I said, a demonstrator. I've seen pictures of these in many of my STEAM books that I have that kind of are talking about these principles. This would have been used in a classroom or kind of teaching someone about steam engines. And like I said, there were multiple companies that made different variations of this same model, but this is the first one that I've ever owned. I've seen a bunch of them in other people's collections, but I've never had one until now. And Jim, thank you for spotting that, thinking of me, calling me up, letting me know about it, purchasing it on my behalf, because this is now one of my treasures. This is something, like I said, that I've been wanting to have for a long, long time. As for the February show, this one we just had, I didn't really purchase a whole lot this year, to be honest with you guys. There was a lot of neat stuff out there, but I just didn't have that much on my list that I was looking for. I did pick up a few tools. As you can see, I picked up this pipe wrench, this aluminum pipe wrench. It's got the head at a different angle. This is actually something that a tool I've been needing for a while. I've got several regular pipe wrenches, but sometimes one like this allows you to get into some tight places where you regular pipe wrench, you just can't quite reach in there as well. And this is something I've been on the lookout for a while, and found this nice little rigid pipe wrench. It's in pretty good shape. Aluminum handle makes it lighter to handle. But anyway, nice addition. Also picked up some spanner wrenches. These are for pulling collars on and off, and there's all kinds of uses for these. And this is something I've been keeping an eye out for at these different swap meets and stuff. It seems like every time I need one, I don't ever have the size I need. So I'm just always trying to pick these up when I find them, and got a pretty good deal on those four, so I went ahead and got them. Also, just some Scotch-Brite pads. This is just consumable stuff in the shop. I knew I was getting kind of low, and I picked some of those up at one of the vendors had some for sale. So I picked up a couple of pads of each one of those just to replenish my stocks, because I'm always using this stuff, polishing stuff on the lathe, getting grime and dirt off of stuff. They just come in handy for all kinds of different uses. So there's what I picked up this year. Not a lot, but some handy items for the shop. Now getting into some viewer mail, and this first item here was sent in to me by Ron Grundy, who's my friend up in Milwaukee that used to work for Kearney Tracker. And he had this in his collection. He stumbled across it and was kind enough to send it down to me. This would have been a badge that went on a machine at some point in time. This is a brand new old stock one right out of the factory, never been put on anything. And while my K&T mill that I have doesn't use a badge like this, it's actually cast into the casting. Pretty cool nonetheless. This will probably just end up being used as shop art for me, but very, very cool to have one of those. Just really neat artifact, and just cool. So Ron, thanks for sending it along. Up next, I got some books that were sent in by a viewer, and I didn't find a note or anything inside of this. I'm trying to figure out exactly who sent this. I think it was a Mr. Price, and I'm not sure the first name though. I'm just doing some detective work off the shipping label and so forth. But regardless, I got some books and some pretty cool stuff. So first off, this book here on the top, this is one that I'm familiar with, but I don't have a copy of it. I do now, but the Bull of the Woods. If you're not familiar with this is pretty cool. So there was this J.R. Williams was a artist and did a bunch of little cartoons that are related to working in a machine shop. And these were done back in the 30s and 40s, and had a little book published with all of his work in it. And I've seen a bunch of the individual cartoons, but I haven't ever seen the book with all of them in it. So I'm really looking forward to looking through this. These are quite humorous about basically life and working in a machine shop back in the 40s, 30s and 40s. Just a really neat book. Bull of the Woods. You can look that up. You can still find that. So this one is a highball pageant of trains, and basically got a bunch of steam locomotive pictures and stuff in here. Right up my alley. I love I love the history, and I love looking at the books and stuff like this. I remember when I was a kid, I would go to the bookstore sometimes and find books on steam locomotives, and I would just always buy them and read them and study them because I was just so interested in it. And anyway, I don't have this one either. This is a nice book to have. And the other one here is Engineering Drawings, which is kind of a textbook, and this is on mechanical drafting. And again, I've talked about this in the past. When I was in high school, I did a lot of drafting. I actually was in a tech school program at one time as a high school student, learning to do drafting. And back when I was doing this was back before we really had access to CAD, so everything was done on the drawing board, and you were literally drawing stuff with T-squares and mechanical arms and parallel bars and all kinds of cool stuff. So this really kind of brings back a lot of memories to me, and I'm kind of glad to have it because I don't have a good textbook on drafting. And even though in many ways this art has become obsolete in the era of CAD, I still like to draw stuff from time to time. I'll still do drawings. Usually it's just a sketch, and that's what I work off of to make parts because it's just what I'm familiar with. But anyway, I was again kind of glad to see this. It's just an interesting book and brings back a lot of memories from my days of doing drafting work as a high school student. So anyway, thank you very much. Some nice books for the collection. Well, as you can see, Ginger has decided to come up here and be part of this video shoot. He just kind of come and made himself at home here on the table. But up next, not the cat, but the items. Got some stuff that was sent in by Tom Fleming. So he sent in some different tool holders and tools for the lathe. Got this is one, I believe that's a threading bar for doing threading. Got a lantern type tool post, our tool holder here, and then some braced on carbide. Got some inserts. Can always use that kind of stuff. And actually, I think I got holders for all of those. Really nice big bullnose center here. And this is another really nice item. If you ever have something that you're putting on the lathe that has a big, like you're putting a piece of pipe on there or something, you want to center it up. Having a big bullnose center like this is really handy to have. Taper shank drill bit. What size is that? I don't see it on there, marked on there immediately, but looks like probably 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, somewhere along in there. And then this is kind of neat. This is a little thickness indicator, and it's designed where you put it on like a surface plate or something, and you put something up underneath the bottom here. It's got the plunger that comes down. It works. A little stiff, not too bad though. It does work. Made in Germany, thousandths of an inch readings. What's kind of cool though is it reads on both sides, which I think is, I don't know if I've ever seen one that does that, where you have a dial on both sides. Most of them are just one or the other. But that's just for measuring thickness of something, where you would lay it on the plate and just run it across it real quick. So anyway, some cool items. Tom, thank you very much for sending those in. And there comes Ginger again. So up next here, I got a set of wind chimes that were made by, I think Lyle Roy is who sent this in to me. I was going back through some emails. I didn't have it on the box, but he had contacted me a while back. He actually told me he sent these over to Adam Booth in Pensacola. It's made Adam a pair as well. So Adam has had these for a while, but I saw Adam this past week at the Florida Flywheelers, and he brought it down to me. I actually had some stuff that I had stockpiled that people had sent to me to give to Adam, so we made a swap. Anyway, very nice set of handmade wind chimes. Has a little, some cats down here on the bottom for Ginger and Marianne. I don't know if that's showing up in the screen or not, but anyway, very, very nice set. My wife is going to like this a lot, I'm sure, and we'll get these put up outside somewhere. And Lyle, thank you very much for sending these along. Very, very nice craftsmanship. I did want to do a little quick follow-up on these Rode microphones. I had done a video on these in the past, and had a lot of people commenting and noticing that, yeah, I have made another change. So I did a review on these, and I really like this microphone, and I'm still using these microphones. But I did kind of change up something on them. So these have a built-in microphone right here, and there's a little wind guard that goes over that. And a lot of people just stick this to them while they're recording, and that's what they use to record with. This one here, you get two of these transmitters. This is the second one. I've actually got the other one that I'm using right now. I did make a change though, in that the microphone that's built into this is kind of a non-directional microphone. It really picks up a lot of background noise. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just using a lavalier, just like I use with my old Sennheiser set. But what I've done is I've actually cut it off real short, and I haven't done this one yet. This is when I need to solder the end on. And basically I've got a really nice compact unit that's gotten rid of that long cord that was giving me problems before. And going to this microphone, basically you just plug it in. There's a jack right here where you can just plug this right into this unit and use the lavalier. But this microphone is more of a directional mic. The built-in one again is a non-directional. So this one here really focuses in more on my talking and really kind of, I think, improves the sound quality just by using a different microphone. Really still like the transmitter and receiver though. And you know, if you don't want to wear the lavalier, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not a huge difference in the sound quality, but there definitely is a difference. Plus, using it the way I'm using it now, you don't see this unit just on the front of me and shining and all that, which was one of my complaints about it. So I'm kind of in hybrid mode. You know, I have gone back to using the lavalier mic, but I am still using the Rode as my wireless and transmitter. And you know, it's doing a good job. I'm very happy with it. But a lot of guys have commented they've seen me going back to wearing the lavalier, and they've assumed that I have scrapped the whole Rode thing and just gone to using the Sennheisers, and that's not the case at all. I am still using this system, and like I said, very impressed with it. It's doing a great job, but I just like the quality better with the lav mic on there. And again, this is one. And what's, you know, one of my complaints with my old setup was that the cord was so long and it was catching on things, and I would break cables from time to time. Usually it would break down at the end. This thing had a really long cable on it. I had saved a bunch of these microphones that were basically no good to me because the wires were broke down the end. I would just cut them off short, and I bought some of these off of Amazon. I just soldered them together, and voila, I'm using those old microphones that were no good to me in the old package. But with this road, they're working out great. So anyway, I just did want to follow up on that because some people have made some comments, and I didn't want to do a whole nother full video just on this, but I wanted to just kind of comment where we were at there because I know some of you guys are going to be interested. So I got a letter in the mail the other day from Steve Gamboni. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he told me, he said, it's been a while since he's made a donation to the site. He wanted to make a $150 donation. And told me there was some money in the envelope, and I looked at there, and sure enough, he sent me $150. But really cool. This is really, really neat. So the first one up here, this is an actual $100 Confederate States of America bill. So it's actually got a date on it of 1862. And as far as I can tell, this is an original. I purchased these little plexiglass pieces to put them in. This one here, I'll be honest with you, it's in really, really poor condition. It was literally falling apart the way he had found them. But I put them in these little plexiglass things. These just have little magnets in it that stick, so that's not going through the money at all. But really, really neat. I grew up in the South. I live in the South, and I've never had any Confederate money before. So I used to always hear when I was growing up, boys, save that Confederate money because the South's going to rise again. I don't know if that's going to ever happen or not, but I do have some Confederate money to my name now. And I think it's just a really neat historical artifact. He said that he found these actually out west in Oregon in an estate sale and purchased them. The other one is this $50 bill. And this one is interesting. This is from 1929. And if you look, it's different than the money we have today. This is national currency, it says, but it was drawn on the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, California. This is some old money, really different than the money that we have today, although it looks very similar to a $50 bill, and it is minted by the United States. But this was actually drawn on that bank, on that Federal Reserve Bank in San Francisco, rather than really being part of the whole national thing. So it's kind of neat. So anyway, two nice pieces. I did do a little bit of research. I mean, this $100 Confederate bill, it's not super valuable. These things are actually fairly common. And in the condition that this one's in, I think it's probably worth maybe $60, $75, something like that. This $50 bill I mean, you could probably take it to the bank and they would accept it to this day, I would think, even though it is old. But I think it's probably worth, again, about $50, $60, $75, something like that. So pretty cool stuff. So one more thing here before we get out of here, and even though this is kind of the end of the video, it's really probably should have been one of the first things I showed because it's really a significant thing for the VintageMachinery.org website, where we host all kinds of publication reprints, catalogs, manuals, etc. We've got, I think, over 17,000 documents that are scanned and available on that website related to all kinds of vintage machinery that people can go download and use for, to find information about their old machinery. It's been a long time project. We've had the website open for over, 20 years now, I guess, and people are always scanning stuff and uploading it to the site, and we are always, when I say we, the people that kind of manage the website, which kind of falls under, I'm kind of the owner of it, I guess you would say, but we got a large group of volunteers that help out there, but we're constantly getting collections of material and scanning it and getting it uploaded to the site. And this past week got a major contribution to the site. Dale Derry, who is another YouTuber out on the West Coast, out in California, the Build Something Cool YouTube channel. Go check him out if you haven't already. But he found a estate sale that he got into, that it was of a gentleman who had a bunch of machinery, a bunch of equipment, but he had a really large collection of all kinds of old literature, mostly catalogs, some manuals, things like that, related to old machinery. And he was able to go into this estate that they were going, basically all that stuff was just going to go to the landfill. Nobody was wanting it. He went in and got it all collected up and put it in boxes and shipped them across the country to me, where we could start scanning them and getting them uploaded to the site. There were 7 big boxes. He actually sent a whole pallet of material across the country. And I'm going to show some video. This is actually, I got everything unpacked and out on a table, ready to be sorted through, figure out what needs to be scanned. Some of this maybe doesn't need to be scanned. It's already on the site, or it's kind of out of the scope of the site. We'll go through it and kind of figure that out. So far, most everything that I have looked at in this collection has been new material, and we're going to be getting it scanned and put up on the site. And kind of related to that, you know, I've got a young man right now that's working part-time for me, that basically he's just scanning this stuff. He's spending hours and hours and hours over there getting the stuff scanned in so that we can get it uploaded on the site. I'm having to pay him, you know, I basically am paying him to do that. But you know, one of the things, you know, we talk about, you know, Patreon and people who donate to the channel. It's not only about, I don't only use that money out here in the shop, I also use it to support the website. So, you know, the money that I'm spending to pay him to scan all this stuff is really coming from my Patreon guys out there that are supporting the site, and where I'm getting you know, some money on a monthly basis coming in from there. We're reinvesting that money, putting it back into the website, and basically paying to have all that stuff done, because I promise you that pile of material that we just picked, if I had to scan it all in, it'd take me 10 years. I mean, I do a lot of scanning. I still do a lot of scanning, but you know, I only have so much time. And so being able to hire someone and have some money to be able to pay them really is a big deal. So, you know, I kind of use that as an excuse. Hey, if you're not supporting us on Patreon, yeah, we appreciate it. I know not everybody can, but this is an example of where that money is used and where you guys are seeing a benefit, not only in helping make these videos and so forth. Big thank you to Dale Derry for going out of his way. It took him a lot of time and effort to sort through all that stuff, go in there, pick it up, collect it, bring it home, get it boxed up, palleted up, and shipped across the country. And Dale was kind enough that he paid for the shipping himself. And Dale, I appreciate that. I told him that I would be more than happy to reimburse him for that, but he said no, that he was that was his contribution to the site, was just paying for the shipping to get that stuff across the country. But big thank you to Dale for taking the time to do that, and lots and lots of new material coming to the website soon as we get a chance to get all the stuff scanned and uploaded and on the site. And with that, guys, I think that's going to conclude this episode of Odds and Ends. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up button up there. That really helps out. Leave some comments on there. That helps out as well. Hit that bell icon to get notification of when new videos are coming. Help support us through Patreon, or make a donation through PayPal if you can. If you can't, no big deal. You know, it's not a requirement, but that is always helpful as well. And with that, guys, we're going to sign off. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.